Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Without Defeating a Badnik. This is a series where I go through different Sonic games to see whether or not I can get to the end without defeating a single Badnik. Sonic 3D Knuckles was a pretty interesting run, but I've had the itch to go through another 3D game. While adventure is very tempting, the length of the game isn't ideal for the amount of other videos I have in the works right now, but I do plan on taking on that game in the near future. And yes, Sonic Mania is still in the works. Don't worry. Let's get into the rules. In the game, I cannot defeat a single Badnik, which are enemies that can be defeated in one hit, drop an animal, and give points. Doing so will force me to restart from the beginning of the act. I'm going to avoid going for all of the emeralds because I'm out of practice and they're pretty tough as you get closer to the last ones. I made a video that covers the emerald stage difficulty, link is in the card above and in the description. I know I said I'm out of practice with the special stages, but I'm actually out of practice with the entire game, because I haven't played it since the release of that video. I'll continue using the 3D models that are included with one of the more recent updates, only because I think they make the game look much better than just sticking with sprites. I'll be running version 2.2.9 on PC and using the simple controls so I can use my Xbox controller. With that out of the way, the floodgates are officially open. Can you beat Sonic Robo Blast 2 without defeating a Badnik? Let's find out. Green Flower Zone Act 1 begins with a short run and slamming into a blue crawler. Good start. From there, I swerve around and cross this bridge. And from there I make a big jump to get to the end. Act 2 starts with the greatest stretch of pure running. And hey, a red crawler! After the spikes, I dodge the other blue crawlers in this cave, and I'm going to be honest, Green Flower Zone isn't very eventful. The only instances where I could really come close to restarting has to be around the square platform surrounded by what is called the stupid, dumb, unnamed Robofish. I might need to get a new enemy name source. Aside from that, these large platforms with the various crawlers could have been trouble because I missed my jump. But after all that, the level is over. Act 3 is going to be a boss fight against the Egg Mobile. And Green Flower Zone is done. To start Techno Hill Zone, I had to pull back a jump to avoid shredding a gold buzz. After that, it's a brief stroll, dodging green spring shells until I landed on a random one. By the way, that is not green. Unless you're talking about the spring. I had a close call hopping over this purple goop and ran inside the building. One shield later, and I'm doing everything in my power to avoid the red springs. Outside, these gold buzzes are forcing me to change direction in midair and, oh, a red buzz. After passing through the big door, I run into the building and finish Act 1. Act 2 begins and I take a dip in the purple goop. After the conveyor belt, things were going smooth until I got into the other pool of goop. The key is to fall down from a high spot, which is something I forgot to do as one of the buzzes fly into me. Okay then. Attempt number 2 and I properly fell into the goop, though the red buzz was a concern. Thank goodness every Badnik at this point moves really slow. It helps when you say screw it and just avoid every single platform and run across the goop to go into a hallway. Then it's a race to avoid the turret while it's cooling down, and at this point it's pretty much smooth sailing until the end, except for missing this moving platform and getting chased by the red buzz, but Act 2 is over. Now, Act 3 is the Egg Slimer. Even Eggman hard pogos. Deep Sea Zone Act 1, and I wanted to avoid the room with the crustacean. By the way, that is the perfect name, it's just going to be a pain to say from now on. The idea didn't really go as planned because I chose to not fall in the water, so I found another one. After letting a jet jaw swim by and dodge one more crustacean, I go onto the water slide. That was ocean! I missed the second spring. Well, too bad I get smacked springing out of the water. Forgetting how SRB2 physics work, I barely make it through a room with another crush tired of saying this frickin' name. From there, it's smooth sailing to the bomb. Actually, it's pretty easy to avoid them and get to the end of the level. No sweat. Act 2 gives me a natural water slide that I have a lot of fun with. There's not a lot to do besides drowning. I forgot where the next platform was. For take 2, oh crap, the air. Oh crap, Jetjaw. A few of them. Once I emerge from the water, I have to put up with these sliding blocks. Thankfully, I was able to navigate through them. Can't really say the same for the falling ceiling. It was also a risk to use the spin dash because I was pretty close to hitting this not crushed crawfish. One more dip into the water and we're back onto a water slide, which sends me into a jet jaw. Now we're at the damn thing here. I hate this. To give you an idea of how little I remember the zone, I couldn't find the springs to finish the level for nearly a minute, but now we're done. I know it doesn't really matter in the challenge, but I actually like the sea egg fight. Anyways, it's done. This zone, it's my favorite. Castle Eggman Zone Act 1, and I do my best to avoid these spike balls. I don't want to fall into the mud, so I'll need to avoid the yellow springs facing me to launch myself. It's smooth sailing, especially when dealing with the egg guards. The Lancebot wanted to joust, but no, I'm not properly equipped for that. Things start to take a turn for the worse when I didn't make it through this makeshift bridge, thanks to the spikes. Then I wanted to make this jump, but I didn't see the spikes that I went face first into. By the way, that's a game over, so now I have to start again. I was planning on taking the same route, but I fell into the mud, though it doesn't take too long to get back to where I got a game over at previously. Slanted platforms tend to get used a lot in the game, but it is exhilarating to go through them. A little while later, I couldn't really figure out where to go, which eventually led me to this launcher. Then there was a very close call with a Robo hood, who jumped out of the way, thankfully. Unfortunately, it's a very uneventful end of the level. The only real close call is at this collapsing bridge. But it's easy to navigate around, and it's done. And now it's on to the best level in the game. Don't at me, especially on Twitter, twitter.com/KnucksChannel3NK. Act 2 has a bunch of egg guards in the beginning. Even the Lancebot and Robohood are around and manage to stay out of the way, which is surprising. Shoutouts go to this Lancebot for getting the egg guard out of the way. Thanks. In this garden area, I was hoping to use a slope to get on the hedge and go around the Badniks, but there was already a spring there. I feel like that shouldn't be there. But it does make it much easier. Oh look, the slanted platformers again. In the library, I let the Lancebots attack first before making my move, and totally remembering the layout of this level. From there, it's smooth sailing until the end. Everything either has a predictable attack or moves way too slow to pose a threat, but I'm gonna be honest, play this game and play this level, this is really fun. And now it's time for the Egg Coliseum. It doesn't take too long to make Eggman look like a fool in front of all of his egg robos. Arid Canyon Zone Act 1 begins with me quickly getting onto this conveyor thing to avoid the green snapper. Why are they so fast? Inside the cave there's a minus, but it's super easy to run past, so that's a plus. The one near the other conveyor section is easy too, but the cactus is still there. Now there are going to be platforms held up by a block that need to be destroyed, so I need to break it without destroying the green snapper on my butt. At this fork in the road I went to the right path so I didn't have to jump on the conveyor belts. I'm not too confident with actually connecting to them, so I'll have to try it another time. Plus, the slanted platforms are a lot easier to land on. On the wooden platform, do everything I did, except use the thock when you're about 3 steps away from it. Afterwards, there's not a whole lot going on for a while. I thought this massive jump was going to be a mistake, but nope, all is well. This conveyor section, on the other hand, sucks. Your momentum continues with you when you jump, so going from one to another can be a bit finicky. Not only that, but the bird aircraft strike hazard starts targeting me a little way in. Falling off one of these will result in an instant death, but unlike the one in the fork earlier, I don't have a choice and I actually need to go through this. Thankfully, attempt number 2 was a success. And a scare. Act 2 begins with dodging a few green snappers, grabbing the whirlwind shield, and doing a little bit of platforming to go onto another path. Thankfully, it doesn't take too long to receive the appropriate amount of harassment from these snappers. Then it's my favorite part of Super Mario RPG. I've made that joke in a previous video. At this time, it's appropriate to discuss that everything went wrong with the platforming section after this checkpoint. A checkpoint that I almost didn't go through. I took too long to start moving after my first jump, then I tried jumping in the wrong direction. On my second attempt, I slipped off the first platform I landed on. But hey, third time's a charm, am I right? Wrong. Because the third time apparently means using the thock incorrectly because I became unsure of jumps after I go after them. But it worked on the 4th try. Though I seem to have forgotten about signs because I got another game over. After 2.5 minutes, a new route, and a crush death, I'm on the last minecart section to finish Act 2. So, where the route diverted was the platform that I failed early on. Aside from the green snappers and the stone platform, there isn't really much for Badniks in the way. It was mostly platforming challenges. So yeah, Act 2 is done. Act 3 is against Knack the Weasel. This is actually a pretty easy fight, but it is tedious. You have to attack when he isn't using his pop gun to push you away, or off the train. But now, we can move on. Red Volcano Zone. To start, this trio of terabytes are going to be our first obstacle. They'll grab you if you get too close. Fortunately, the lava rises up high enough to where a little damage boost means I can get out of there quickly. As I'm going through the main, then higher path, the Pyrefly and Unidas pose no threat at all. In fact, I was able to go around the ones that were in my way since there's a lot of space to utilize. At the checkpoint, I now need to roll on these checkered balls. At these slanted platforms, every terabyte misses me so I can brace for the worst part. There are some terabytes, but the platforms are much smaller, leaving not a lot of wiggle room. It would have worked the first time, but the Unidas caught me off guard and I slipped. Attempt number 2 had a very close call, but this is a very forgiving game engine. I made a potentially huge mistake by not trying my luck at beating the falling lava, so now I have to go on a ball to dodge terabytes. Can you see why I hate this level? Once I respawned, I actually made it through the floating platforms to a significantly easy terabyte section. It didn't help that I died on this lava wave area, so I'm down to my last life. One more go at it and the zone is complete. We're at the home stretch. Egg Rock Zone Act 1 begins and I'm going right. After this one snailer, I have this area. The platforming is very forgiving thanks to the lower gravity, and to make things a bit easier, I set the options to where the camera changes when I'm flipped upside down. Only because visually, this would be a little too disorienting for me. Near the end of the anti-gravity section, I hopped over these 3 moving lasers which resulted in a game over. I'm actually thankful for 2 reasons. This area is easy to get back to, plus I'm going to need more than 1 life to make it through this level. I may have beaten the game numerous times, but I'm no expert, so I'll take what I can get. Once I return, there's going to be this bit with the life monitor and the spin cushion. This is to just tell you exactly where I am. So don't get squished and don't suffocate. Especially don't suffocate because there's a little bit where you could just fall and you would be boned. Now we're at the fun part. To do this, you'll need to wait for the next platform to appear. Think classic Mega Man, but without needing to jump on the next one in time. I then run up the blue staircase to lead into this room. The idea is to roll underneath slow enough to not fall off the platform, but fast enough to stay on it, and then move on to the rest of the level. It's just really difficult to pull off. Once it and the red anxiety-inducing platforms are done, it's finally time to expose this game for what it is, having too much 2D. I say it's an outrage. And the next part is the reason why I have that setting on. It's already difficult enough to jump on moving conveyor belts, but doing this with the camera upside down isn't happening for me. Sorry. Fortunately, the whirlwind shield makes this area super easy, and the level can be completed. Act 2 gives 2 options at the start, but I'm going to stick to the right path. The left one has fans that are a little too finicky for my liking, and the right path has these giant blocks that are super easy to get around. After that, I have this other fork in the road. Again, I'll stick to the right so I can then expose Sonic to the vacuum of space. That's a good idea, right? Doesn't matter because after avoiding the snailer projectiles, it's time for the first real challenge. These jettison bombers will follow Sonic, so getting through this area pretty fast is ideal. With the snailer and spin cushion, it's very manageable. A trouble spot will be this room with the pop-up turret, so what you'll need to do is go through it pretty fast without slipping off a platform. After some tight platforming and some bullying courtesy of these spin cushions, they are totally good friends, there's this platforming section. It's the same as the one in Act 1, but the platforms become more and more narrow as you go further. It is another lives drainer for first-time players, but credit where it's due, the rings do help a lot. And now, the zone is complete. After a few crush deaths. Black Core Zone is a race, then a battle against Metal Sonic. The race portion requires significant trial, error, and knowledge of the game's platforming to make it through. The fight is tough but manageable. We conclude with the fight against Dr. Eggman. This one is brutal at first. Even using these platforms as a shield doesn't guarantee victory. Thankfully, we can use the sound cues as well. After a few attempts, the evil doctor goes down and Sonic makes his escape, ending the game. So, can you beat Sonic Robo Blast 2 without defeating a Badnik? The answer is yes. Part of me is disappointed that this wasn't a more difficult challenge. I figured for the first unofficial game in this challenge series, it would be some massive feat, but nope. None of the Badniks are aggressive enough to pose a real challenge. Aside from that, I still recommend playing this game. It's really good, especially with the mod support. There's going to be a link in the description to try it out for yourself. This is free to play. Don't monetize fan games. And that'll do it for SRB 2 for this challenge. I know Mania is still the most requested game for it, but I've said it before, I'm chipping away at it slowly but surely. I want to also focus on some of the other content coming to this channel, like video reviews, so that way whenever there's like a large gap between without defeating a Badnik videos, there's still something else worth watching. I don't have anything planned that I'm ready to announce right now for video reviews, but once I do, I'll let you all know. In fact, this is a great segue to let you know that if you like the video, like, subscribe, click the bell icon to get notifications for updates and new videos. Maybe I'll post a meme in the community tab once in a while, who knows. But I do update stuff through the community tab when I feel there's something worth updating. At this time, I want to thank the members of Nux Club Plus. You'll see the Chaos tier members on screen right now. These are the members who are helping out in a bigger way on the YouTube channel and on patreon.com/knuckleschannel with a monthly contribution. And now it's time to properly thank the Super tier members. These are the $5 tier members whose names are Dork in a Hat, Tactical Discord, Martin YT Plays, Ultrasonic Hero, Gamer Entertainment TV, Clifford Longhead, and Ryan Rolfs over on Patreon. If you want to help out the channel, feel free to do so with either a YouTube channel membership or becoming a patron over on patreon.com/knuckleschannel. Lowest tier is $1, and all tiers get you early access to videos and an exclusive set of channels on my Discord server, along with an exclusive role. You can either click the join button for YouTube, and there's a link to Patreon in the description below this video. Same goes for my social media stuff in the description. With that all said, thank you all so much for watching, thank you all for your continued support, and I will see you for the next video. Until then, take care.